This is the timeline split, and 2026 is a pivotal year in its unfolding. You're not here by accident. You're listening to this because on some level you know you have a choice to make. Not a dramatic one-time choice, but a continuous choosing, a direction you're setting, a path you're committing to. This conversation is about making that choice consciously, about understanding what's happening so you can navigate it with clarity, about selecting your timeline deliberately rather than drifting into one by default. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott, and today's episode is dedicated to the coming timeline split in 2026. If you're listening to this long after 2026, I would still listen because you may be facing a similar choice because the timeline will continue to split. You can feel it, can't you? Something is different. Something has shifted. The world feels less solid than it used to. Reality seems more fluid, more responsive, more malleable. You're not imagining it. People everywhere are sensing it, a strangeness in the air, a thinning of the veil between what is and what could be. Time is moving differently, sometimes stretching, sometimes compressing. Synchronicities increasing. The feeling that the rules have changed but nobody sent a memo. Some people find this unsettling. The ground they stood on doesn't feel as firm. The certainties they relied on are dissolving. The future that seemed predictable now seems wide open, terrifyingly, exhilaratingly open. Others feel different. Excitement, anticipation, the sense that what we've been waiting for is finally arriving. That the world is becoming more like what they always knew it could be. Both groups are right. Both experiences are valid. Because what's happening isn't one thing, it's a divergence, a splitting, a moment when multiple possible futures are separating from each other, and each person is being drawn toward the timeline that matches their frequency. This is the timeline split, and 2026 is a pivotal year in its unfolding. You're not here by accident. You're listening to this because on some level you know you have a choice to make. Not a dramatic one-time choice, but a continuous choosing, a direction you're setting, a path you're committing to. This conversation is about making that choice consciously, about understanding what's happening so you can navigate it with clarity, about selecting your timeline deliberately rather than drifting into one by default. Let's ground this in how reality actually operates. Every moment, infinite possibilities exist. Quantum physics shows us this. Until something is observed, particles exist in superposition, holding all possible states simultaneously. Reality doesn't become fixed until consciousness interacts with it. This isn't just true at the subatomic level, it's true at the level of your life, at the level of collective experience. At every scale, possibility precedes actuality. The future isn't fixed, it's a field of potentials waiting for consciousness to collapse them into form. A timeline is a particular sequence of collapsed possibilities. It's one path through the infinite field of potential. One story that becomes solid and real through the focusing of consciousness upon it. You're always on a timeline. Every moment, your consciousness is collapsing possibilities into experiences. The thoughts you think, the feelings you feel, the beliefs you hold, these are constantly selecting which possibilities become your reality. Here's what's important. You're not locked into any timeline. You can shift, you can jump, you can move from one sequence of possibilities to another by changing your frequency, your state, your point of focus. This is what you've been learning to do. Every activation, every state shift, every time you've embodied a new version of yourself, you've been timeline jumping, moving from a reality where one set of possibilities unfolds to a reality where different possibilities unfold. Now something larger is happening. It's not just individual timelines shifting, it's collective timelines diverging. The shared reality that humans have been co-creating is splitting into multiple streams, different versions of Earth, different versions of human experience, moving in different directions. This has happened before in human history. There are always moments when paths diverge, when different groups of consciousness move toward different futures. But this particular split is significant. It's been building for decades, and it's reaching a critical point. Dolores Cannon talked about this split in a number of her books, that we would encounter a split in what she referred to as the New Earth, when essentially two realities would take hold. That's what's happening now. 2026 is a part of that. For years, you've heard people talk about a coming shift, a great awakening, a transformation of consciousness. Sometimes it was tied to specific dates that came and went. Sometimes it was vague, always just over the horizon. Here's what's actually true. The shift isn't coming, it's happening. It's not a single event on a single date. It's a process that's been unfolding and is now accelerating. Look at the world around you. Look at how rapidly everything is changing. Technology transforming daily life at unprecedented speed. Old institutions losing coherence. Information systems fragmenting into different realities. People who were once in agreement no longer even sharing the same basic perception of events. This is what a timeline split looks like from the inside. It doesn't happen all at once with a dramatic flash. It happens gradually and then suddenly. Things that held reality together start to loosen. Consensus dissolves. What was one world becomes many worlds, still overlapping but increasingly distinct. That's why it can appear that the world is falling apart, but in some areas of your life it's coming together. 2026 is a significant year in this process. Not because anything magical happens on a particular date, but because the momentum that's been building reaches a new threshold. The timelines that have been slowly separating become more distinctly different. The gap between realities widens. You can already see it happening, people living in completely different realities while still walking the same streets. One person's world is collapsing while another person's world is blossoming. And they're standing right next to each other, same external circumstances, radically different experiences. The external world is becoming more responsive to internal states. Reality is becoming more personalized, more reflective of the consciousness experiencing it. The buffer between what you think and feel and what you experience is shrinking. This is why it matters so much right now what timeline you're choosing. The choices you make in this period carry more weight. The frequencies you hold have more power to shape your experience. The gap between cause and effect is compressing. While infinite timelines exist, they tend to cluster around certain attractor points. Think of it like a river splitting into channels. There are infinite possible paths for water molecules, but they organize into distinct streams. In this particular split, there are two primary directions, two main streams that human consciousness is dividing into. Two very different experiences of what the coming years will hold. One direction leads toward contraction. In this timeline, fear wins. People respond to uncertainty by closing down, protecting what they have, fighting over diminishing resources. Control tightens, freedom shrinks. The world becomes harder, more rigid, more survival-oriented. In this timeline, the changes happening are experienced as threats. Technology is something to fear. Other people are competitors or enemies. The future is something to dread. Life becomes about holding on, about not losing, about defending against an increasingly hostile world. This isn't a punishment timeline. It's simply what happens when consciousness contracts in response to change. When the primary frequency is fear, reality reflects fear. When the focus is on what's being lost, loss becomes the experience. The other direction leads toward expansion. In this timeline, possibility wins. People respond to uncertainty by opening up, creating new solutions, discovering new ways of living. Control loosens, freedom expands. The world becomes more creative, more connected, more abundant. In this timeline, the changes happening are experienced as opportunities. Technology is a tool for liberation. Other people are collaborators and fellow creators. The future is something to build. Life becomes about growing, about creating, about participating in the emergence of something new. This isn't a reward timeline. It's simply what happens when consciousness expands in response to change. When the primary frequency is creation, reality reflects creation. When the focus is on what's becoming possible, possibility becomes the experience. Same external events, same technological changes, same global shifts, but two completely different experiences of those events based on the consciousness interacting with them. Here's the thing. You're not waiting to choose. You're choosing right now. You chose when you made a choice to watch this video. You have been choosing. Every moment your frequency is placing you on one trajectory or another. When you wake up in the morning, what's your first orientation? Do you wake into worry about what might go wrong? Or do you wake into curiosity about what might go right? That's choice. A small one, but it matters. When you consume information, what are you taking in? Endless streams of what's broken, what's dangerous, what's threatening, or evidence of what's working, what's emerging, what's possible. That's a choice. It shapes your reality. When you think about the future, 2026 and beyond, what do you see? Collapse, conflict, and crisis? Or transformation, creation, and breakthrough? That's a choice, and that choice is literally selecting which timeline you experience. This isn't about positive thinking or denial. Real challenges exist. Difficult things are happening and will happen. But your orientation to those challenges, contracted or expanded, fear-based or creation-based, determines which reality you navigate. Think about the last week. Where has your attention been? What frequencies have you been holding? When you encountered uncertainty, did you contract or expand? When you faced the unknown, did you meet it with anxiety or adventure? There's no judgment here. The contracting response is natural. It's what the nervous system does when it perceives threat. But you're not just a nervous system responding automatically. You're a conscious creator who can choose your response. And the choice you make repeatedly becomes your trajectory. The frequency you hold most often becomes your home frequency. The timeline you keep selecting becomes your timeline. So let's look at what you've been choosing, and then let's consciously choose where you want to go. How do you know if you're drifting toward the contracting timeline? There are markers, signs, consistent experiences that indicate the direction of your momentum. Chronic anxiety about the future, a persistent sense that something bad is coming, scanning the horizon for threats, feeling like you're running out of time, running out of options, running out of safety. This is the contracting timeline showing up in your nervous system. Increasing cynicism, the sense that nothing will work, that people are fundamentally selfish, that positive change isn't really possible. Hope feeling naive, optimism feeling foolish, a hardening against possibility. This is the contracting timeline showing up in your mind. Withdrawal from life, wanting to isolate, seeing other people as threats or annoyances rather than potential allies. Pulling your energy inward, not for healthy restoration, but for fearful protection. This is the contracting timeline showing up in your relationships. Obsession with control, trying to manage every variable, needing to know exactly what's going to happen before you can relax. Gripping your life so tightly, there's no room for surprise or emergence. This is the contracting timeline showing up in your behavior. Consumption of fear-based content, endless scrolling through bad news, addiction to outrage, feeding on content that makes you feel worse, but you can't stop watching. This is the contracting timeline showing up in your attention. Victim consciousness, the sense that things are happening to you, that you have no power, that external forces are in control and you're just along for the ride. This is the contracting timeline showing up in your identity. None of these make you bad. They're natural responses to uncertain times, but if these markers are consistent in your experience, they're showing you where your momentum is carrying you. And momentum can be shifted. That's why you're here. That's why you're watching this. The expanded timeline has its own markers, its own consistent experiences that indicate you're moving in that direction. Excitement about the future, despite uncertainty, maybe even because of it, a sense that something good is unfolding. Curiosity about what's coming. Anticipation rather than dread. The feeling that you're living in significant times and you're grateful to be here. Increasing creativity, ideas flowing. The urge to build, to make, to contribute. Seeing problems as puzzles rather than disasters. Finding yourself more engaged in creating than in complaining. Energy moving outward into expression rather than inward into protection. Connection with others, finding your people, experiencing more meaningful relationships, collaborating. Being part of communities that nourish you, seeing others as fellow travelers rather than competitors. Genuine enjoyment of human connection. Trust in the process, ability to know and to be okay. Faith that things are working out even if you can't see how. Relaxation in uncertainty. Holding visions loosely while trusting they're manifesting. This is the expanding timeline showing up in your nervous system. Selective attention, conscious curation of what you take in, choosing information that serves your creation rather than feeding your fears, staying informed without drowning in negativity, awareness of the full picture, challenges and opportunities both. Creator consciousness, the sense that you're participating in reality, shaping it, influencing it, that your state matters, that your choices matter, that you're not a victim of circumstances but a creator of them. Agency, empowerment, authorship of your life. Synchronicities increasing, things lining up, doors opening, opportunities arriving, right people appearing. The sense that you're in flow with something larger. Reality reflecting your intentions more quickly and more clearly. If these markers are showing up consistently, you're already on the expanding timeline. Your work is to deepen that trajectory, to make it more solid, to anchor yourself more firmly in that direction. If these markers are intermittent, sometimes present, sometimes not, you're at the choice point. Your work is to choose more consistently, to tip the balance, to build momentum in the direction you want to go. Right now in this moment, you're at a choice point. Not a one-time choice that you make and then it's done, but an ongoing choice, a direction you're setting, a commitment you're making to yourself and to reality. Which timeline do you choose? Not which timeline sounds nicer, not which timeline you'd prefer if preference alone could do it, but which timeline are you actually willing to commit to? Which direction are you willing to orient yourself toward day after day, choice after choice? The contracting timeline is easier in some ways. It asks nothing new of you. It just requires you to keep responding to fear with fear, to keep focusing on what's wrong, to keep believing you're powerless. It's the default. It's where you end up if you don't actively choose otherwise. The expanding timeline requires something. It requires you to manage your state consciously, to choose your focus deliberately, to keep coming back to your power, even when circumstances seem to argue against it. It's not the default. It's a choice you have to make again and again. But here's what's true. You already know which timeline resonates. You already know which direction your soul is pulling you. You already know deep down that you're here to create, not to contract. That you came for the expansion, not the shrinking. The fact that you're listening to this is already a marker. People on the deep contracting timeline don't seek out content like this. The part of you that found this, that pressed play, that stayed with it, that part already knows. So let's make it conscious. Let's make it explicit. Let's declare it clearly so that every part of your being can align with the choice. Say to yourself out loud if you can, I choose the expanding timeline. I choose creation over contraction. I choose possibility over limitation. I choose to meet this moment with openness, with creativity, with trust, with love. Feel that choice landing in your body. Feel yourself orienting in that direction. Feel the timeline locking in. At least for now. At least for this moment. Choosing the expanding timeline isn't about feeling good. It's not spiritual escapism. It's not ignoring what's happening in the world. The expanding timeline asks something of you. It requires your participation. It needs your creativity, your courage, your willingness to engage, your service. It asks you to be more conscious, not less. More aware of your state, your choices, your impact. More deliberate about how you spend your energy. More intentional about what you create. It asks you to manage your own frequency first. You can't help anyone from a contracted state. You can't contribute to the expanding timeline while you're vibrating with the contracting one. Taking care of your own consciousness is not selfish, it's essential. It asks you to become more creative, to build things, to solve problems, to contribute your unique gifts. The expanding timeline is not built by passive passengers, it's built by active creators. What are you creating? What's yours to make? It asks you to connect meaningfully, to find your people, to collaborate. The expanding timeline is a collective creation, not a solo project. Who are your allies? Where is your community? How are you participating in the larger weaving? It asks you to stay open when closing feels safer, to keep trusting when trust is hard, to maintain expansion even when contraction is the easier response. This is the work. This is the practice. It asks you to be both grounded and visionary, to deal with practical reality while holding a larger possibility, to have your feet on the ground and your eyes on the horizon, to navigate what is while creating what can be. 2026 and beyond isn't going to be smooth. No timeline promises that. There will be disruptions, changes, challenges in any direction. The expanding timeline doesn't mean everything goes perfectly. It means you meet what comes from expansion rather than contraction. You respond from creation rather than reaction. You respond from love rather than fear. Can you commit to that? Not to having an easy year, but to meeting whatever comes from your highest frequency. That's what the expanding timeline asks. To fully commit to the expanding timeline, you have to release the contracting one. That's harder than it sounds. You might be attached to the contracting timeline in ways you don't realize. There are payoffs to contraction. There's a certain security in lowered expectations. There's a strange comfort in catastrophic thinking. At least you won't be surprised when things go wrong. There might be identity wrapped up in the contracting timeline. It might be political. You might know yourself as someone who understands how bad things really are. It might be your culture. Someone who sees through the naive optimism. Someone who is prepared for the worst. There might be community in the contracting timeline, people that agree with you, people who bond with over shared fears, conversations that revolve around what's wrong or the evil cabal behind the scenes, relationships built on mutual anxiety. Moving to the expanding timeline might mean leaving some of that behind. There might be habitual neural pathways that lead to contraction, patterns so ingrained they fire automatically, responses so practiced they feel like truth rather than choice. All of this needs to be released, not fought against, released, recognized, acknowledged, and let go. Right now, become aware of any part of you that's attached to the contracting timeline. That part that gets something from fear, the part that would feel lost without worry, the part that doesn't quite believe expansion is possible. Thank that part. It was trying to protect you. It developed in response to real experiences, real threats, real pain. It did its job. And now let it know. We're going a different direction. We're choosing expansion. We're releasing the old timeline, not because contraction was wrong, but because expansion is what's next. Feel the release happening, the old timeline detaching, the futures you feared losing their grip on you, the contracting possibilities becoming less solid, less real, less yours. You don't have to carry those futures anymore. You're not going there. They are not your destination. Now let's anchor the expanding timeline. Let's make it solid. Let's claim it so completely that it becomes your dominant reality. Imagine yourself moving into 2026 on the expanding timeline, where you meet whatever happens from expansion and love. See yourself waking up each day with possibility as your orientation. Feel the curiosity about what's unfolding, the excitement about what you're creating, the trust that things are working out, even when you can't see how. See yourself navigating challenges, because there will be challenges, from your power, not collapsing into victim mode, not contracting into fear, meeting difficulty with creativity, responding to obstacles with solutions. See yourself connected to others who are also on this timeline, your people, your soul family, your collaborators, your community. Feel the support, the synergy, the collective creation that's possible when aligned people come together. See yourself at the end of 2026 looking back at the year. See what you created. See what emerged. See the growth that happened. Feel the gratitude for the ride. This is timeline selection. You're not pretending something will happen. You're choosing which possibility stream you're entering. You're signaling to reality which future you're claiming. Feel this timeline becoming more solid, more real, more yours. The expanding future crystallizing into probability. The path ahead becoming clear. You're not just hoping for this timeline, you're choosing it. You're committing to it. You're claiming it as yours. Let the choice anchor in your body, in your cells, in your energy field. This is your timeline now. This is where you're going. The choice you've made here needs to be reinforced with practical action. Intention without action fades. Decisions without follow-through dissolve. So let's talk about how you can anchor this choice in your daily life. How you start your day matters enormously. Before you check your phone, before you consume any outside information, take a moment to choose your timeline. Remember who you are on the expanding path. Choose love. Set your frequency for the day. Curate information ruthlessly. This doesn't mean ignore reality. It means stop drowning in fear-based content designed to capture your attention through anxiety. Stay informed, but stay sane. Know what's happening without losing yourself to what might happen. Become a creator. Make something regularly. Write, build, compose, design, cook, garden, whatever your creative expression is. Creators are on the expanding timeline by definition. The act of making things anchors you in possibility. Connect with your community. Regularly spend time with people who are also choosing expansion. Their frequency reinforces yours. You stabilize each other. Find your people and stay connected to them. Manage your state. When you notice yourself contracting, intervene, breathe, move your body, shift your focus. Don't let contraction run unchecked for hours or days. Catch it, shift it, return to expansion. Practice gratitude regularly. Deliberately focus on what's working, what you're grateful for, what's already good. This is not about ignoring problems, it's about balancing your attention. The expanding timeline is visible to those who look for it. Hold your vision. Keep connecting with where you're going, not obsessively, not with desperate attachment, but with clear intention. Regularly revisit your vision of 2026 for your life and what you're creating. Keep the signal strong. These practices are not optional extras. They're means by which you stay on your chosen timeline. Without them, drift happens. The contracting timeline has gravity. It pulls. You need practices that maintain your momentum. One of the most challenging aspects of timeline split is that not everyone is choosing the same direction. People you love might be moving toward contraction. Family members, old friends, colleagues, they might be choosing fear, choosing limitation, choosing timelines that diverge from yours. This can be painful. You might want to pull them onto your timeline. You might feel guilty for choosing expansion while they choose contraction. You might feel obligated to stay connected to their reality out of loyalty or love. But here's what's true. You cannot choose for anyone else. You can invite, you can model, you can share, but you cannot make someone else's choice for them. Each person's timeline actually slows you down. It tangles your energy with theirs. It creates cords of obligation that can pull you off course. The most loving thing you can do for others is to firmly anchor yourself in expansion, becoming a beacon that shows what's possible. This doesn't mean abandoning anybody. You can love someone while being on a different timeline. You can have compassion for someone's contraction without joining them in it. You can maintain relationships while maintaining your own trajectory. The key is not letting their frequency override yours. Not taking on their fear, not letting their contraction become your contraction. Staying centered in your choice, even when you're around people who've made different choices. Some relationships might need to change. Some might need more distance. Not out of judgment, but out of recognition that you're traveling in different directions. This can be grieved and honored even as it's accepted. Other relationships might deepen as you find each other on the expanding timeline. New connections might form. Your community might reorganize around your new frequency. Stay open to this. The timeline split doesn't mean the end of love. It means love takes new forms. It means connection happens in new ways. It means you find your true family, the ones who are going where you're going. This isn't just about your personal timeline, it's about the collective. When you choose the expanding timeline, you're not just choosing it for yourself, you're contributing to the collective expansion. You're adding your frequency to the sum total of human consciousness. You're voting with your being for one future over another. Every person who firmly anchors in expansion makes it easier for others to do the same. The more people hold that frequency, the more accessible it becomes. You're not just saving yourself, you're helping create the world that everyone wants expansion can step into. This is your role. This is why you're here at this particular moment in history. Not by accident, not randomly. You came for this. You came to be part of the generation that navigates the split, that holds the expanding timeline, that carries the light through the transition. That might sound grandiose. It's not. It's practical. Every person matters. Every frequency counts. The collective timeline is made up of individual choices, and yours is one of them. You don't have to be perfect to contribute. You don't have to be enlightened. You just have to keep choosing. Keep coming back to expansion when you drift toward contraction. Keep holding your vision. Keep creating. Keep connecting. Keep trusting. The expanding timeline needs you, not a future better version of you, this version now. With all your imperfections and doubts and mistakes and fears, what you bring is enough. Your choice matters. 2026 is a year when individual choices have amplified collective impact. The choices you make this year ripple outward more powerfully than usual. The timeline you hold helps stabilize it for others. The future you embody becomes more available to everyone. You're not alone in this. There are many others making the same choice, holding the same frequency, building the same world. You're part of a collective of creators, and even if you don't know all their names, feel them with you, draw strength from their presence. Who you are on the expanding timeline is different from who you were before this choice. You are someone who trusts the process, not blindly or naively, but deeply. You know that you're participating in something larger than you can fully understand. You trust the intelligence of life, even when circumstances seem chaotic. You are someone who creates, not just consumes, not just reacts, creates. You're an active participant in reality, bringing things into being that didn't exist before your creative powers turned on and engaged. You are someone who stays open. Even when closing feels safer, you choose openness. You are remaining curious. You remain flexible. You remain willing to be surprised by what emerges. You are someone who chooses consciously. You're not drifting through life on autopilot. You're making choices about your state, your focus, your actions. With awareness, you are the author of your experience. You are someone who connects. You're not isolated. You're woven into community, into relationship, into the larger fabric of humanity. You know you're not alone. You participate in the collective. You are someone who is here for this moment, not wishing you were in a different time, not longing for the past, not waiting for a better future. You are here now, engaged with what is, working with what's available. This is your identity on the expanding timeline. It's not who you're trying to become, it's who you are when you're aligned with your choice. It's who shows up when you stop contracting and let yourself expand. Step into this identity now. Feel it as yours, not a mask you put on, but a truth you're revealing. This is you. This has always been you. You're just claiming it more fully. The timeline split is real. It's happening and you've made your choice. You have chosen expansion. You've chosen creation. You've chosen to meet whatever 2026 brings from your highest frequency, your deepest trust, your most creative self. This choice doesn't guarantee an easy year. It doesn't mean nothing difficult will happen, but it means you're navigating the terrain from a different vantage point. You're creating a different experience. You're living in a different version of what's possible. Remember, the choice isn't made once. It's made daily, sometimes hourly, sometimes moment by moment. Each time you feel the pull toward contraction, you get to choose again. Each time fear arises, you get to choose again. The commitment is to keep choosing. The world is splitting. Realities are diverging. What used to be one shared consensus is becoming many different experiences. This can feel disorienting, or it can feel exactly what you've been waiting for. Because in this new reality, your consciousness matters more than ever. Your frequency has more impact. Your choices create more quickly. The dream of the conscious creators that we can shape reality with our awareness is becoming more true by the day. Welcome to 2026. Welcome to the timeline you've chosen. Now go and create your reality. There's 2 ways you can choose expansion right now that are available to you. The first is come to my event in Newark, New Jersey on February 27th through March 1st at the Newark Airport Hilton, where we will have 3 days of immersive meditations. That event is designed to shift you into the expansion timeline, into your greatest timeline. And the next thing you can do is join the Reality Revolution community. You can find the links in the description at skool.com, skool.com/Reality Revolution, where we meet weekly and we actively work together to help each other shifting collectively into the greatest timeline. I'm wishing you the very best 2026, and whatever happens, I will be with you every step of the way. Sending you all my light, all my love, and welcome to the Reality Revolution. Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm Brian Scott, and I have a huge announcement. I'm so excited to finally let you know that on February 27th at the Newark Airport Hilton, we're holding a 3-day immersive meditative experience designed to create the most profound transformation possible. We created this event specifically because so many of you couldn't make it to the LA event. We got to work, and after looking everywhere, we found the Newark Airport Hilton to be the most central and reasonably priced location. You don't just learn about timeline shifting, you actually do it. You don't just understand the concepts philosophically, you embody them. On Friday, we start with activating your pineal gland, your gateway to higher consciousness. Then you meet your higher self and learn to quantum jump into your greatest timeline. And by the end of the day, You will do my most powerful meditation where you actually become your future self from that greatest timeline. We get together for a group karaoke and sing along and a community celebration because joy and connection are just as essential to your transformation as the deep work. This is your invitation to step into the life that's calling you forward. Let's do this together. I can't wait to meet you. Once again, it's www.brianscottlive.com/February-2026.